FEMA versus faith in Mississippi. Last month, a FEMA cameraman came up to a group of volunteers cleaning up after a tornado and asked to film them, but there was one condition. They had to take off their T-shirts, and it's not because it was hot outside. The volunteers who came from a church said the photographer asked them to take off those shirts because they had a faith-based logo, the Salvation Army logo, on them. Some of that cleanup crew took action and called Mississippi Congressman Gregg Harper, who happens to belong to that same church, and he joins us now. Good morning to you, Congressman.
Good morning, Gretchen. Great to talk to you.
All right, it seems like such a bizarre story. Here you have volunteers, 300 of them, who put on these nice yellow T-shirts and go out and start doing some of the cleanup work. FEMA comes out, the photographer. Are you being serious when you say that the photographer asked them to take off their shirts before he would take any photos?
He absolutely did. He said they didn't want to do a faith-based story. They had done that hundreds of times and asked him to remove a Salvation Army logo T-shirt, which you know, is a Christian organization, and he didn't want that. So they they agreed. They were being very cooperative. And then had on a church T-shirt from my home church at Cross Gates Baptist Church, and it had another message on it. He didn't like that, and he asked for a third T-shirt before he would do the video of these particular individuals.
Well, first of all, who comes to a cleanup site with 3 sets of T-shirts? I mean, it just seems it seems so ludicrous. Yeah. But the bigger question here is, what do you think the message was? Was it just a rogue photographer, or was this a message from a federal agency, FEMA?
Well, we certainly have every right to find out those answers. We've been told by Craig Fugate, who gave me a phone call, the head of FEMA, that this was not their policy. They were apologetic for it, and that this particular videographer employee had been terminated. That was what I was told on Monday night. And of course, Fugate's done great work when he was with Florida, helping the state of Mississippi after Katrina. But you still have questions here. For instance, there was a second FEMA employee who didn't stop them. And then I also learned yesterday that this employee of FEMA also was given strict instructions to stay away from the faith-based group in Yazoo County. And these individuals had gone into the adjoining county to get some refreshments, and that's where they saw the FEMA employee who told them that he wanted to do this without their faith-based T-shirts on.
Very interesting. Let's look at the FEMA director's statement to Fox News. The photographer in question was absolutely wrong, and their actions in no way reflect FEMA's policies or priorities. We are proud of the work that is done by our volunteer and faith-based partners, and we are proud to work side by side with them in disaster recovery efforts across the country. All right, I don't want to take this too far because it can be dangerous territory, but
sure, it
sounds as if the federal government could possibly not want to have faith at all involved in recovery missions.
Well, I would certainly hope that that's not the position, and we've been given every assurance by the head of FEMA that this is not the case. But if you look at our history in Mississippi after Katrina, after these tornadoes, it's always been the churches and the great folks that have come and volunteered and given up their time. And you have to ask, why would FEMA have given them instructions to stay away from this site of the cleanup in Yazoo County, unless he was given instructions to do a non-faith-based story, which is kind of rewriting the situation.
No kidding. I didn't even know the Salvation Army was a Christian-based group, so I learned that today, and I also learned I have to bring 3 T-shirts when I'm going to clean up for tornado damage.
It would help.
Congressman Gregg Harper, Republican, Mississippi, thanks so much for being our guest today.
Thanks, Gretchen.